Jenga. Let's play Jenga today and talk about stuff in under an hour till one of us knocks down that tower. Jenga. Let's play Jenga today. Now let's get to the talking part. No, you can't wait for that to start.
Welcome to the Jenga podcast.
We've been doing it already?
But no, that's music. Music was going.
Oh, music was going.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Week number 2 of being on the podcast. First repeat guest.
2 weeks in a row.
First repeat guest.
Champion.
Please, if it's not the fact that he won that he gets to come back.
It should.
It's that this is very last minute, extremely last minute. But yeah, Dillon is back. Not talking about sports.
No visor.
No visor. He means
terrible.
business today.
Yeah.
We are here talking about
So whatever you want to talk about.
ancient aliens.
Okay.
Dylan tells me that there's a lot to learn about ancient aliens. You won, so you can go first.
So if we were to go that, I guess I have to start thinking like what you want to. So, like I said, we can go pre-Ice Age civilizations.
Okay.
Or we could just go most compelling facts that we were visited by.
I want to hear the compelling fact. I know nothing about ancient aliens. I'm getting educated as well.
Okay.
So I'd like to hear the compelling facts.
I guess I want to get into the theories a little bit,
Okay.
the way. So, have you ever seen Star Trek 2?
No, I don't watch sci-fi movies.
That's a shame. It's a shame. All right, so in Star Trek 2, they're going around to different planets, right, for expedition reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like what we would have done, like the Europeans did, finding America, that kind of crap, you know?
Yeah.
And they go to another planet to watch the indigenous people, and they fuck up, and the indigenous people see them in their ship, and then the indigenous people are oh god, and bowing down to them, yada yada yada, that kind of jazz.
I think I know what you're leaning into. Are you saying that there's witnesses that say
There's witnesses all the time.
that? But a lot of those people are kooky. They're looking for attention.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's just that if there's one or two stories, I'm not even talking about UFOs.
Oh, okay.
I'm breaking into ancient mythology.
Well.
So you can think of mythology in a couple ways. You can think of it as just stories that were sort of guidelines to live by, little themes and all that stuff we study them today. Or you can think that there's some basis of truth in those ancient stories.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the stuff from the ancient stories we're finding out that was true, some of the sites, some of the cities. Every year archaeology finds more and more that confirms all right, shit, this actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like the biblical flood is starting to become more and more prevalent as an actual catastrophe that happened that killed, maybe even almost wiped out the human race at one point. About 12,000, I believe it was 800 years ago.
What happened? I don't know anything about this. What happened?
So, once upon a time, I believe it was a comet, a massive comet, meteor, comet, asteroid, whatever the fuck you want to call it, came and crashed and hit Earth, and broke into many fragment pieces and hit the ice caps. And hit the ice caps, and it was so hot and the impact was so strong that it immediately caused all the ice in that area to melt. Miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. So if you can imagine all these solid pieces of ice, and now it just instantaneously melts, where's all the water going to go? Well, it's going to go where there's no more ice. So everything near the ice caps at that point was hit with this ginormous tidal wave. Sort of like the story of the biblical flood, that if you look into just about every ancient religion, if it's the Bhagavad Gita and the Hindus or the Bible or the Sumerian texts, they all claim a flood occurred.
Yeah.
So today there's actually they're finding evidence of these canyons that were basically carved, but they think there's one flood that must have occurred, and I believe it's in Wyoming.
Interesting. Wyoming of all places.
Yeah, well, they're just finding it in the. That's the most like evidence. Like you can see it like keep going. I think they call it the Scablands, where if you look from it for a distance, it just looks like what you'd see in like the water of an ocean. It just looks like giant ripples, but each ripple is like 50 feet. So imagine like 50 feet high. Like so, you can't see unless it's from a distance, but you see it like holy shit, looks like someone just ripped right through this area.
Jeez.
So you can imagine that. Actually, also in that catastrophe, when that hit, the water went up into the atmosphere and then blocked off the sun, and I believe it was like a soot kind of thing, because from all the thing like blocked that out, the water and the soot raised up into the atmosphere, blocking everything, and then dropped down. And they actually found almost throughout the world this like one base layer of this black like soot that only can be caused by something of like extreme heat across the whole world, just about.
Wow.
So there seems to be like, in fact, like the flood actually was based in some kind of truth.
Yeah.
So back to what I was saying about the Star Trek thing, like a lot of these stories you can say like, all right, maybe they just are explaining things they didn't understand. So say when they see like a dragon, they don't know what the fuck a ship is. Or anything like kind of that.
Yeah.
And then you just say, oh, I saw some fire coming out of this thing and it's a fucking dragon. Just like they saw a modern plane today. That's
a very fair point.
That's how they probably would describe it. So you have to like think about like people that don't know what technology is. You have to figure out way like it's going to look like magic.
That's crazy.
So that's just to get you in like the thinking theories.
So that's warming up.
Yeah, warming you up. But my favorite way is being somewhat of like construction guy. I want to see some like technological proof that this has happened. And everyone's first thing they're gonna think of is like, oh, he's gonna mention the fucking pyramids. I'm like, that's one of them. Yes, like because you still have no fucking idea how they made it.
Jews.
But
my ancestors.
No. Maybe they're involved, yeah, but
the masterminds.
Yeah, they could have been involved, but
it's crazy.
For something like that, like how do we the common theory right now is that we were a bunch of hunter gatherers about 15,000 years ago, and then all of a sudden we just started to form civilizations, and then bam, all of a sudden we have all these like the pyramids, the Mayans, the Sumerians, like all of a sudden just this happens.
Do you know how? Like, I'm curious as to how fast you could build a pyramid today.
Well, the thing is, like
using those methods.
They don't know the methods,
right? Isn't that?
They don't know the methods, and I'm pretty like every time you hear about a story about where they get the rock from, everyone's like, "Oh, it came from like 100 miles away." You're gonna tell me, man, like had these giant logs and he just dragged it all the way across the fucking desert from like 100 miles away?
Yeah.
No.
That's like a 50...
No.
Yeah, that's...
Everything they've ever said is this, like, not plausible. But I don't... Like I said, the pyramid ones are a little too crazy for me to really get into right now, because you gotta...
You need hours.
But, like, you also need to be, like... You need to hear other more compelling stuff before you start believing the theories about the pyramids.
So the next time you come on, you can talk about pyramids.
Yeah, it's because it's just it's too much. Like when I start doing that, but I will give a couple other examples that are more, like I said, structural. So I believe it's called Pumapunka, and it's in South America. I'm pretty sure it's in Peru. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the more ancient, the Incas and all that kind of stuff,
A lot of history.
Yeah, down there. So Pumapunku is this site in the middle of, I guess like a flat land. I guess you imagine like a field, but not like a field in the Great Plains, you'd say. And there's this giant ancient megalithic structure in the middle of it, but it looks destroyed today. But at Pumapunku, and you'll have to show.
I'll try to figure
still frame. They have all these I'll actually have my phone. I'll show you. So like an H beams they have made, something like we would have today, right? Right here.
Oh my god.
So but the detail in them is outrageous.
Yeah, I'll have to put that.
Which is why, like, I bring it up, because they've actually tested these rocks, and with diamond cutters that we have today, we can't make as accurate cuts as they made on these blocks.
Whoa.
And if you look, like, the mountains that are there, they're so far away. And it's another one of those cases that they don't even, the rock doesn't even match that.
How to get there.
They don't even know how the rocks got there, let alone how did they, because you look in it, like, it's not even that. Look at the engraving in the rock, just past the H.
Very detailed.
It's so detailed, and they just have no idea how they made it. So they made, like, a diagram of what they think when you put all of them together, and they look like a launch pad once they make it. Like, they had an engineer try to design what, if he could put all the pieces together, looks like a launch pad. So the other thing going on is, like, how would something like this big get knocked over? And there's actually, like, water dam, like, you can see, like, evidence of a flood came through and wrecked the shit out of it, coming back to the flood. But that's not, we don't need to get back into the flood. It's just that, like, the evidence there, like, how did they make something so precise if they just had hand tools?
That alone is enough for me to buy into this.
So that's just the thing, like, every time they see something like this, they're like, oh, like, they used hand tools, they just took a lot of time. Well, obviously they couldn't have, because we can't make it with a diamond cutting saw today. So that's one of the big ones, I think, just from a technology's point. Then if you get in stuff like Machu Picchu, you ever hear of Machu Picchu?
Yeah, I think I've seen a picture of it.
So Machu Picchu is this giant fortress on a mountain, I believe it was the Incas. But even the Incas themselves say, like, no, we didn't make this. This was here before us. That's what they go with. But I believe, like, the rocks that make up Machu Picchu, some of them are like 17 or 18 tons. So
that's absurd.
Yeah, and once again, the rocks that are at Machu Picchu aren't from that area. So today they actually tried to see if it was feasible with our machinery to get those rocks all the way up the mountain. No. We could do it.
You need like a helicopter.
We could do it, not even like I don't even know how the fuck they.
You could probably do it.
I guess you
like a heavy duty helicopter. You probably lift it.
I guess, but yeah. So,
but that's they didn't have fucking helicopters. So
yeah. So if they don't have anything like that, how are they getting up there? Let alone, once again, at Machu Picchu, the rocks are fit to each other so tightly. It looks like the rocks are melted together. Like there's no mortar on these like the joints. They're actually just like formed together.
Do you think that they're so heavy that?
But no, there's not actually like they're actually like melted together.
Oh, like welding kind of.
Yeah, but they're rocks. But they're rocks. It's the only way you can do that is if you heated the rock up to a point like lava can.
Holy
and like, but what kind? Like we don't even have anything like that.
No, it sounds like we're about to get invaded by aliens from what you're telling me.
No.
Do you think they're just like moved on to better things? Do you think that they came to Earth, they used Earth? And now, like, we're in alien trash. Like, they look at Earth and they're like, oh, remember that, like, shitty planet we went to? That place is a shithole. And all of us are, like, so happy with it.
There's a lot, like, once again, like, you can just go on forever with the theories about it. And, I mean, if you really want me to dive into, like, why they came, like, why you think they came and stuff like that, we can. But usually it's the same thing, like, what we will probably have to do in like 200 years is probably came for resources, because at the time, you know, we weren't really mining natural resources, and the one I hear the most and like the theories is gold. Like,
I don't get gold. Okay, I want to get on this. I don't get gold. Gold is stupid. Why do people care so much about gold? Because somebody else tells you
it's something about the properties of gold, not actually just like, oh, it's shiny, blah
like,
blah blah. It's something about like the actual properties. It's really like useful.
What's it used? I don't know what's it used in, other than jewelry.
I have no idea.
Like I don't get the gold standard. Like why isn't there's so many different like natural resources that are way more valuable than gold. To me,
true.
Like if somebody's like, so say tomorrow the world ends and somebody's like, I'll give you this brick of gold for even like a bag of potato chips, I would say no. I'm gonna enjoy.
Well, exactly. It's just like like the same like diamonds and shit. Like it's just like it's what we make it value. But there is certain properties on Earth that are like valuable.
Yeah.
Like there's one thing about properties like mercury. There's all these like theories that you can with mercury, like something in it, like you can actually like use it as like a propulsion system, like a anti-gravity like system.
Really?
It's actually in the it's called Vimanas, and it's in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu text. And
did you read that?
I have not read the Bhagavad Gita. I have read things about
I think
reading.
it's your turn.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So
I just want to keep the game.
Yeah,
I enjoy talking.
But in that they have these cone-shaped flying, like what you would call a flying saucer. Just imagine a cone-shaped ship, except it's not the typical, like like you would have engines like spewing out fire kind of thing. Yeah. It's like they are anti-gravity, so they can just go wherever.
Like a hoverboard?
Yeah, like a hoverboard except a ship. Like it can go anywhere it wants, basically. And they say that the way it works is you need mercury, but actually, just recently in the Mayans, in one of their pyramids, they found all this mercury at like a super toxic. Like if you went down there, you die, like amount of mercury. And once like the thing is like, why the fuck would there be a bunch of mercury underneath like a temple? Like they mix because it's not naturally there. It would have to be put there. So this theory is that maybe like these ancient ships that could have been used were powered by some like mercury.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. You're changing my whole entire perspective on the world, just so you know.
Well, it's just like sort of like how Stephen Hawking like sort of puts it. Like if you don't believe in another life form other than yourself, then you're just insane. But like to think like we're one galaxy and like we don't even know if we're the only living life in just this galaxy, let alone when you have to factor in there's like an infinite amount of galaxies out there. Hypothetically speaking, but like in like Stephen Hawking's theory, like the universe or the cosmos or what do you want to say is still expanding.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy.
So
that somewhere in this universe, somebody else is making a Jenga podcast.
Who knows what they
This might not be the first one.
And it could have been, might not be.
Man, I'd be bummed. By the way, I want to just make a shout out. This is the 10th episode.
Oh wow, I got on the 10th. Nice.
Yes, this is the 10th episode of the Jenga podcast. To my loyal Jenga heads, I appreciate you watching. Thanks.
Hopefully this one's not a little too crazy for you.
Hopefully it is.
Hopefully it is blowing their mind.
Hopefully we're blowing their minds so they're like, oh my god, you have to watch these.
This is like an awakening, This is
yeah.
Yeah, I did. Like me trying, like say everyone's in a cocoon.
Yeah.
Maybe
you're opening their eyes.
Yeah, maybe. And I haven't even got to like. I only brought up like really two things.
I feel like you're at 10% right now, in terms of what you've said.
Maybe. Like, I can go into so much stuff. Like, there's just so much stuff out there. And there's definitely shit going on that we just don't know.
Oh, yeah. There's gotta be.
But, like, the coolest one I just heard was Antarctica. So, like, Antarctica wasn't always frozen.
I didn't know that. I kind of assumed it was always
No.
ice. Whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't actually. And actually, they just found, there's this map from, like, 500 to 600 AD or something. Maybe like 15 or 1600 AD, and it's a map of the like geography of Antarctica, like showing where the mountains are, where the inlets are, the streams, and all that kind of stuff, which like you couldn't do if it was ice capped, and let alone Antarctica wasn't even discovered until like I believe it was like the late 1800s, early 1900s. No. So how is there this map of Antarctica when it wasn't even discovered, and it's actually showing so. They just actually started doing like the topography of Antarctica, and they're proving that the map is right. Like where it says mountains are, there's mountains. Where it said the rivers are, there's rivers. So there's a theory that, and you can go back to like the giant like cataclysms that could have happened in the recent past. That like when it happened, it shifted like shifted the atmosphere and
isn't the Earth's axis moving? Which could cause for,
yeah, like shifts. So you can imagine, like, something could have shifted, something could have happened, and then all of a sudden, like, Antarctica is frozen. So a theory is right now is that Antarctica could have been home to an ancient civilization. And the one that most people are starting to think of is Atlantis.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Pretty gnarly, because... Atlantis is supposed to be this giant island civilization.
Underground, right? Or underwater?
No, it was
underwater. Or
no. It was an island.
It's just an island. What's the one that's underground?
Underwater. Maybe you might have watched a movie or something.
Yeah, I think the movie version of Atlantis.
Yeah, it's probably underwater in the movie.
You're gonna knock over the tower if you take anything down there.
So the theory is that. Because, even in the ancient Atlantis myth, I believe like Plato or somebody who wrote that.
I'm not up to date on my myths.
Yeah, you gotta get your myths going on. Atlantis was destroyed in a giant cataclysm. In the myths. So, which would go with the theory that Antarctica froze in a short period of time. Because actually it's a time period called the Younger Dryas. Which is...
How many books do you read?
You need to know all these things. So, the Younger Dryas actually goes with the cataclysm flood idea. Is that a thing happened, and then it set, like, we were coming out of the Ice Age, and it just set us right back in. It would have been one of the craziest, like, climate changes in Earth's history.
Yeah. I've got a question. I've heard this theory that there's a volcano ready to blow. Super volcano. And that when it blows, the ash storm from it is going to cover up the sun and cause a second ice age. That we know.
Which would be similar to this story of, like,
that's what I've heard, that the ashes from it will cover thousands of miles. And I think it's at like Yellowstone National Park. I think I may have watched a documentary on it in 8th grade. But it said that this supervolcano typically erupts every like 60,000 years. And it's like past due right now. And when it erupts, the ash clouds will cover the sky and block out the sun. At least the whole entire United States.
Okay. Yeah, it could happen, but there's something called terraforming that they're using now, which is the whole theory about colonizing Mars.
Oh yeah.
Is that we can pretty much tamper with the atmosphere. So if something like that happened, I'm pretty sure we could just clear it up. Just sort of like in Beijing, when the smog and all that stuff was so bad, and then they finally just paid the money to like change the.
They can do that?
Yeah. Like we pretty much can do that now.
I didn't know that. Could they make rainstorms happen?
I haven't got too far into it. I've just heard about this.
Wow.
So I'm not too worried about that.
On average, how many books do you read a month? Like, do you read
start
books?
to finish?
How many books
or
are you reading right now?
Currently reading?
Yeah.
That I've started, not finished.
How scholastic are you is what I'm asking.
I think it's somewhere currently reading and have not finished. I think it's like 10.
Oh my god.
Maybe more. I haven't as much time because my schedule is so crazy right now that I haven't been able to finish.
But I haven't read 10 books since I was 10. That's 10 years.
Oh, it happened. Like when I go to my deployment, like
yeah.
I'll read up a storm, and I mean,
member of the
Dill's Takes from the Desert is going to have some crazy.
Yeah. Member of the Air Force, and while he is overseas, he is going to be doing. Is it daily videos, weekly videos?
I think it's going to be a daily vlog of me going insane.
Dill's Takes from the Desert.
Dill's Takes from the Desert.
Look out for it. When it happens, I will provide a link. Because he's an interesting guy. He's going to have a mustache, no?
Yes, I will.
He goes out a mustache.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Active duty. But was I...
Sorry. I kind of got off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, take it wherever you want to go. But I'm trying to... Where was...
Antarctica?
Antarctica, yes. So, they're starting to do all the scans right now. Like, just how, like, we find all these, like, just a sidetrack from this right now. So, did you hear about the teenager in Canada who found a Mayan city?
No.
Okay, so
is he super rich now or something?
No, it's not even that. This kid's like a little math genius, right? And he had this theory about Mayan cities, that every city correlated with a constellation in the stars. And so Canada's version of NASA heard this kid's theory, was presenting it, and they're like, sure, we're the Canadian version of NASA. What the fuck are we doing? Let's take it up on it. Let's take this kid up on it. Let's see if we can strike gold. And I'm French Canadian, so I'm allowed to say some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so they take him up on it, and give him the tools, and they start looking at like all the like Chichen Itza and all these other kind of places, and they're finding out like shit, like all these locations in the buildings all like correlate to constellations of stars. So they're going to this next one, the next one, the next one. They're all finding and then they found this one location that didn't have a known civilization, a Mayan civilization. They're like, maybe it's worth taking a peek, and they went there and they found one of like the top 5 biggest like Mayan civilizations they ever found, or something like that. Just because this kid came with, but like even crazier than that is that the fact that the Mayans, every freaking structure, every civilization correlates with the stars.
Sense?
Like it's GPS pinpointed to where like that is in the star's location to the Earth. Just like
that is bogus.
Just like how
That's crazy.
Just how like Giza in Egypt, like the pyramids are correlated to Orion. Like right?
No, what?
Yeah, like that's
not human.
It just brings up like how did they have such like knowledge of the star?
You could give me Google Earth right now, and I could not do that.
I wouldn't have no way now.
I have this app actually where you can look at this. You can it's like virtual reality for looking at stars. It's pretty cool because I like looking at stars.
Yeah,
it's a Big Dipper.
So did the ancients.
Yeah, I'm almost ancient.
So even I'll just throw another one out there from the Mayans, because I was just down in Chichen Itza earlier this year, and
you're well traveled, man. Well versed.
I was over there, and there's a temple called the Temple of Kukulkan, and we can do like another still image of that.
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah,
massive pyramid, and it has 365 steps for the calendar year, and on each spring and fall equinox, the sun hits it just right. And imagine like a streak of light, and then they have snakes at the bottom, like heads, and all of a sudden, like the snake's body comes in the light, and that's how they knew it was a spring and fall equinox. Like how insane is that they knew, they were so precise in making it. I don't even know how you even do that.
Like I said, that's not human. No, you're down.
You're down. We're here. Yeah. It's amazing. But all right, once again, to circle back to Antarctica.
Yeah.
So the theory is that there's just an ancient civilization frozen in time.
Are the people like walk?
I mean, maybe.
That'd be cool.
But like,
if you like melted it and then like people just were going back.
It would be more. The bigger find than the people would be the technology that they had.
Yeah.
Because then you can actually see what they were dealing with. So, but we're not the first people to actually know about this. And crazy enough, in World War II, if you know that Hitler was a huge person in the occult, and he actually put a big sum of money into trying to find all these ancient technologies from like the Hindus, from all these ancient stories. He actually sent people to Antarctica.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he actually had expeditions to Antarctica trying to like dig down into the ice to find things. Huh. And so does the United States. So when the United States defeated Germany, they actually took it, and now they still have bases to this day in Antarctica that are off limits to anyone who goes there.
You know, I heard this theory. I was watching this show on it that Hitler did die in World War II.
Oh, you mean like the show on History Channel?
Yeah. It's a great show. Very compelling. I firmly now do not believe that Hitler died in that bunker.
I mean, it's
so realistic.
Yeah, and like I don't know anything. Evidence. Yeah, I don't know about what they're saying, but I mean,
I don't want to switch topics completely.
Yeah,
I just want to throw it out there.
I mean, I brought up Hitler.
Yeah.
So, but like, as I was saying, like Hitler, he tried to find the Ark of the Covenant and stuff like that. Like he put all this money, and some think he actually did find like ancient like weapons, and that's how, because in World War II it wasn't the Americans' technology that exploded, it was the Germans. Like the Germans are the ones that came up with all the rockets and all that out of nowhere. Like they came up with all the propulsion systems. Like not the Americans. We just took, after World War II, we just took their scientists. We literally just took their scientists, like Einstein and those guys, and just put it in our space program.
Huh.
That's how.
So maybe we're using ancient technology. Well,
And they just didn't say anything. But
that wouldn't surprise me.
but there's stories actually from this Air Force pilot that used to be stationed in Antarctica. He apparently claimed that he was like a rescue pilot, and one day he went into what they called one of the restricted zones, and in the restricted zone he flew over what he saw was this giant crater in the ice that just went down farther than he could see, and he flew by it and went past it, and he lost, like, there's some kind of static thing, he lost all of his like radar and all that stuff, so eventually he did find the people that were there. When he found the people, all these guys in suits showed up and told him, like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Like, pretty much they look like from the government, like, you guys need to go right now, you can't say anything that you've seen here, like, blah, blah, blah. So there's a theory that even, like today, I mean, there's a reason why Antarctica is still, like, the unmapped, like, continent. Like, no one goes to Antarctica. Like, why does no one go to Antarctica still today?
Dude.
Because it's off limits to go, because we're still finding things in Antarctica.
You're blowing my mind. That's crazy.
But it's not...
Not like in a bad crazy. Like
but this is... I also have a theory that movies aren't as just, like, independent from things going on as we believe.
Movies?
Movies.
Hollywood?
Blockbusters, like, brainwash movies.
Really?
I have a theory that a lot of times... they show us like, say Martian, the movie just came out.
Movie.
Good movie.
Loved it.
But that's actually going to happen in the next, like, 20 years. We're sending people to Mars.
Yeah. I don't think they're supposed to. Yeah, but, like, he wasn't supposed to, like, stay forever.
Yeah, but we're actually sending people to colonize Mars. That's happening. So that's, like, sort of a good way to desensitize us to, like, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We've already seen it, in a way. Right? So if something was ever to happen, say they would disclose information that aliens have been in contact or aliens happen, we've already seen like 1,000 movies where we're like, shit, and like, oh, and we can know what to expect from there.
Huh.
But I have a theory that they release things to desensitize us to like crazy things that happen.
Surprise me.
That's, if you like follow it more, like more and more things the government sort of is dropping. For example, Hillary Clinton promised that if she becomes president, she's going to release all the UFO files. If you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So we might... I've actually made
She probably won't, though.
yeah, I don't trust Hillary at all. But... to be honest. But, I've made bets with people, like thousands of dollars, the next 25 years. It would be common. Not like the government will release the fact that we have proof of ancient, like...
I mean, it's got to come out soon. Like, everybody kind of knows
something
has gone down. Like, what, Area 51? Do you think that there's, like, dead... Do you think they have, like, alien bodies there? Like, dead alien bodies or something?
So I think it's Roswell is what is, like, that's the whole theory from Roswell, that, like, there was a crash, and I think in the 1940s, and we picked up the plane and the alien and brought it to Area 51, and we de-engineered, like, the thing, and that's where a lot of our technology, like, that's a lot of theory. Like, there's a lot of stories in Germany and the United States and all around the world of crashes, pretty much, that happened. It happened in the same thing. It happened during World War II in Germany. Like, apparently something crashed in the woods, and the SS went and grabbed it.
Really?
So there's all the, and even in like ancient, and like not even like ancient, there's stories from like the Revolutionary War of like a crash in the Boston area, and they describe it.
I didn't know that.
This is the, like, I would say in our, like, the way we're taught, like, this is history. Like, this is what it happened. This is, like, what it is, and, like, don't think anything else of it. But, but history is actually very interesting because I love this quote. It's, like, history is from those who conquered. So everything we know about history is from those who killed off the other people.
That's true.
So we never... We've only ever learned what people wanted us to know.
That's a fair... Yeah, wow. They never hear the other side. Huh. Did you see how I almost just lost a few times?
Yeah, I did. And from that, like, theory there, it's if you go back throughout history, like, every civilization, when another one comes in, they burn all their books and they kill their religion and they make you go to theirs. And it's a dominance move, and but it happens in every single, like, uprising, and like every time. And we've done, like, how many times we have, like, erased our memory? Like, the Dark Ages all came from the fall of Rome, basically. But, like, when the Christians were, I'm just trying to straighten that out.
Oh, I thought you were trying to take it out.
But the Christians, actually, when they started taking over, they had the same principle. They would burn the books of the pagans and anything like that, and they burned the Library of Alexandria, which is, like, supposedly...
Is that the wasn't that one? Is that one of the 7 wonders of the world?
Yeah, I think it was Ancient Wonders of the World.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be where all ancient knowledge was stored.
Like a beautiful, like...
Yeah. It was supposed to be the library where all ancient knowledge was, like, there, and that, like, all the ancient, like, technology and all of that was there, and they just burned it all down. Madness.
Idiots.
But, so I don't know if you want me to... I can go on some different structures if you want.
This. I mean, where our game
Underwater Worlds is another cool one that's starting to come.
So, Underwater Worlds, is they found any...
So, this is the thing about Underwater Worlds. So, back to the flood. So, the flood actually raised the sea levels, like, X amount of miles around, like, every coast.
Okay.
So, if you imagine today, if we had something like that, New York City, Boston... pretty much every major city around the world would go underwater.
Except for Chicago.
Whatever, Chicago. Chicago makes it. Good for them. But I'm just saying, just think of that. So the same probably principle would have been true in ancient times. The cities were on the water. Right?
Yeah.
So they're starting to find all these ancient cities that were in all the ancient myths. But they're actually just... off the coast. So in India, I'm trying to think, doesn't really matter the fucking name. I should know the name, but I forgot it. There's an ancient city in one of the Hindu texts that was supposed to be a myth. Like, it was supposed to be home to one of their gods. And the same thing, it said it fell beneath the sea, like when he was defeated or some shit like that. And they found it off the coast of India in the... what's that Gulf there? Gulf, is it just the Gulf of Bengal or something like that?
You act like I should know.
I don't know. Anywho. So they found one there. They found in Japan, in the ocean in Japan, this giant megalithic pyramid.
That's pretty cool.
They found it in Egypt. They found a giant city in Egypt. So now...
Anything off South America? Or than
I don't think they found anything in South America off the coast right now. I think a lot of their cities were more
in like Europe,
inland and in mountains.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's more in the jungle and mountains.
Why do you think that is? Why are they all so high up?
Well, the common theory with that is they're trying to get the closest to their gods as they can.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm just thinking for like...
Yeah, and then the Mayans we now know is all constellation oriented, you know, going where the constellation is. So,
are there any ancient cities on the coasts of South America? I wonder. Just because, how are you gonna like make trade and all that stuff?
Well, there in Cancun, like when I was there was like they had remnants of like civilization that was over there, but it wasn't like the main one, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I can underwater worlds. So you're finding all these underwater worlds, and they're all predating, like, past the the end of the Ice Age once again. So they're all like 20,000 years old, just about. But that doesn't go with the modern theory that we were hunter-gatherers in that time period, and that like we were just still trolling for woolly mammoths. Like actually, they're finding all these structures, and they're finding this all over the world now, slowly but surely. Just how they're finding pyramids. Everyone hears pyramids, are like, oh, Egypt. Mm-hmm. Wrong.
There's more.
Wrong.
Yeah.
They're actually all over the world nowadays. But the problem right now with our like culture and our society is that if the Kardashians do something, everyone fucking knows about it. But if we find something like a new pyramid, only those who are who want to know about that stuff know about it. You don't hear about it. It's not covered on the news. But like all around the world, in South America, even in the United States, they just found one in the West Coast. Yeah. In China, there's all these ones. It's crazy. Like even we'll even say like a new finding at Stonehenge. Everyone thinks it's just that one megalithic structure. Actually, they just found something they call Woodhenge and Superhenge in the same area. Woodhenge is in the ground. It's the same kind of like circular shape, and it was buried for whatever reason. And then there's Superhenge, the same reason it was buried, but it's massive. It's like the stones are like, I forgot how high, maybe like 30 feet tall. I don't know how many tons, but they go around this giant circle. And they're all underground.
How'd they get underground?
Well,
is it just the earth piling up?
Well, it could be, but I'll give you another place in Turkey, and it's known as Göbekli Tepe. And Göbekli Tepe right now is one of archaeologists' like known oldest structures. It's sort of like Stonehenge, except it has carvings on all the stones. And they know Göbekli Tepe was buried on purpose. Huh. So Göbekli Tepe, it's a lot bigger than Stonehenge. It's a bunch of like circular kind of things, but it almost looks like a written history. They said it's almost like a time capsule. Like they tried to write down something and then they buried it, hoping that someone would find it again thousands of years ago.
Do you know what it says?
It's all image based.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you can only I guess some archaeologists can sort of figure it out. I couldn't really figure it out, but that's one of the ones, because that one's I think it's dated back to something like 12,000 BC again. And once again, like at that time, we're not supposed to be like we're not really like civilizations. I think Sumer, which was like one of the ones they like modern day archaeologists like record as one of the first civilizations. That was like in 5,000 BC. So, but even they're finding things. I'll even give you one, I believe it's in Indonesia. And I really hate how fast you found one of these. It's in Indonesia, and it's made out of basalt. And at first, they just thought it was a random formation, but then they realized it was a destroyed structure. And it comes in levels, so it looks like there's all these different levels going deep, like 200 feet into the ground, but it seems like from the start, everyone's like hundreds and thousands of years older than the next. I mean, not goes down, it gets older and older and older, and it looks like it built up on it. And at the bottom right now, I think they're at like 30,000 BC. Oh. So here we are, all right, now we're already back at 30,000 BC.
Dude. So
I'll just blow your mind one more time. So the Earth is a couple billion years old, right?
Yeah, 4.6.
And I forget how long humans have actually been documented on the Earth, right? And I actually watched something that sort of pointed this out. So we're like not even like a second in the time scale or whatever. And I'm pretty sure like the guy talks about it like, all right, think about where we were like from the Industrial Revolution to today. 100 years, right? Mm-hmm. There's like I don't know how many like that. We'll say maybe humans have like been documented maybe like 300,000 years, some kind of crap like that. I don't know. So if there's only 100 years, and like with like 300 of those spans, right? Something like maybe more with 3,000.
Yeah.
3,000 those spans. So 3,000 times we've played this game. When we know that humans will like get to a point, like a precipice, and then we'll crumble, and we ruin ourselves. We do it over and over.
I wonder what's going to happen. Do you think it's
going to
end in like nuclear war or something?
I don't think you can do nuclear war.
No.
Today.
Why?
You can, but no one's. I think there's just too much knowledge. It's just like.
Yeah, I feel
no
like
one will do it.
It's
just because they know if they do it, they're killing their entire people. Everyone knows
it's
destruction.
It's inhumane. It's so inhumane.
It is inhumane, and I love the theory that there will never be true peace until we find something that all of humanity can unite against. So
no. You're suggesting that aliens will come and all of humanity will have to band together to kill them?
It's in every movie, is it not?
Holy crap. Oh, man.
Well, you'd have to.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy shit. Jesus Christ, Dylan. Now you're scaring me. What time? We're at 46 minutes.
I've only brought up 3 or 4 things.
Make this a 2-parter.
A 2-part series. Like I said, I could talk to you about things for probably at least 5 hours.
Yeah.
Probably more if I really.
Things or just this?
No,
things?
just this.
Oh yeah, no,
just
yeah.
The different things I can bring up, and then we can just go off on.
Yeah.
It's wild, and just think about that. Even the stuff I brought up there, that's even just a couple small, just a couple small things. I'll give you an example too. They just King Tut, one of the most famous pharaohs. I won't go into crazy details about King Tut because he's a big possible alien
really
kind of thing. Yeah, but they just did a study on it. His dagger is made from a meteorite.
Okay. What more evidence do people need?
Well, you could just say, well, maybe a meteorite fell on Earth.
No.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right.
How is he gonna make a knife out of it?
Yeah, but it's just weird that someone who's so connected to
aliens,
ancient alien theory would be found having a meteorite dagger.
So, is this the possible theory? This is what I'm piecing together in my head. That many, many, many years ago, aliens came to Earth, colonized here, and then did all this crazy shit, and then left.
It's a theory. So, in actually almost every ancient mythology, there's something pretty much called the Watchers. These angels or gods who came here and to teach us. Yeah. Taught us civilization, taught us math, and pretty much did all that. But then at some point, those teachers quarreled with the other people in their race, and then there was a giant war between them, and then eventually they would have left, or they would have destroyed themselves. Which I could bring up Planet X, which is actually pretty interesting.
Is that the one that's Earth-like?
I'm not talking about what you're talking about, the planet that they think they just found outside of Pluto.
I'm not sure. I read Twitter. Done.
So, I'll give you the scientific thing about this, which before I even break, because the ancient mythology talks about this planet, and we're just finding evidence that their stories could be true, which is crazy because it's about a planet, planetary things.
Billions of miles away.
Yeah, not even about Earth. So there's a theory that the asteroid belt actually, because you got to think about it, where would an asteroid belt come from? Of that massive size. Well, it has to be a planet.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at the all the planets and their rotation around the Earth, in the Sun, there looks like there's this giant gap where the asteroid belt is, where a planet would be. Right. So there's a theory that there is a planet that doesn't revolve around the Sun the way the other planets do. like say we have this big circular one, this one has this long oval one going that way, and that it only comes around like once every like 3,000 something years, and every time it comes around, it causes like a tilt in the Earth's like axis, causing like a global cataclysm. That's one of the theories. But one of the theories is that actually this planet might have collided with Earth at one point, causing like why we have this moon and why there's the asteroid belt.
I have a question. Do you think that when the planets collided, do you think that there was somebody like or something standing there like, oh, look, it's coming at us, and then it was just
boom,
squash?
Because like in that theory, Earth is actually a half planet.
What?
Yeah.
How?
It was actually when it was hit, there was more, and then it broke off, and then the water just filled up the area that would have been there.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I wonder what Earth would look like if you took all the water out. Like, just, like, topographically.
See, that's another, like, really interesting thing you bring up, because we actually have mapped more of the stars than we've mapped of our own oceans.
Yeah, aren't a lot of the oceans on...
Yeah, we've no idea what's going on down there. There could be people down there right now. We have no clue. Like the Bermuda Triangle, like what all the shit that goes on there. We have no idea what goes down. Like what could be going on down there. Like we find like new like species of like fish and like all that shit
every day.
Almost every fucking day. And we're finding old civilizations that we thought were myth.
What if they moved underwater and they're living in the Bermuda Triangle?
That's actually one.
Are you serious?
One theory.
Well, I should go on TV and talk about this stuff. You should seriously go on TV and talk about this stuff. This might be, from my standpoint, the most interesting podcast I've done yet. Wow.
Like I said, I can come on 3 more times.
Yeah. Well, this will be a.
Because you know what you gotta do is because you can't really just take.
Oh, you're about to just knock it over.
You can't take this random dude's word for it.
Yeah.
You sort of have to like if you sort of have to look into some of the stuff I've said.
If you give me some articles, I can post links.
Yeah.
In the with the video, I can put some links. So if people are interested.
And another good one, even though like everyone's gonna be like, oh, like is like the TV show Ancient Aliens.
Oh yeah.
Even though they make it like memes. Yeah, the crazy meme. Yeah, that's what everyone knows the Ancient Aliens from. That guy's like, whoa, aliens, dude. But they bring up a lot of great, like a lot of stuff they've said on that. It's just they make it into like a little bit of they try to make it dramatic and a show kind of, and then they have some crazy theories. They start throwing like wild theories, but I would say one of the cooler ones is about technology and like genetic, like the genetical engineering and the biomedical engineering going on today, about how like cyborgs like aren't really that far off. How we're actually really close to like morphing humans and machines. It's actually a lot closer than people like realize. Like how like in the military, you know, like what they're doing with the vets, like people get their arms blown off, they pretty much can give you a bionic arm, and you can control it with your mind. So if you can do that, so pretty soon they actually think that they pretty much can download your consciousness into like a computer.
That's scary. I don't like that.
Just like the movie.
I don't like
Which
that.
is what it brings me back to like why like some of these movies that are made like literally are correlating with what's happening. So like that when the Johnny Depp movie that they downloaded his consciousness into a computer.
Don't they do that in the movie Avatar?
So
Blue People movie.
Because he goes into that life form, right? Yeah. Sort of like So you can even do like, but that's really not that far off.
And they got virtual reality.
So the theory is that if we were actually to go explore deep space, it couldn't be humans. Like we're just not made for space. We would pretty much be sending robots out there.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
And like, you're actually like NASA actually is making a robot that you pretty much can like just sort of like Avatar, like you said, like you can just control the robot. You can see through the robot. Like you probably can just put on a virtual reality mask and you're just controlling the robot.
I have a question. How long do you think it's round trip to Mars?
Round trip?
Yeah.
Well, it takes 3 months to get to Mars.
That's it?
Yeah.
3 months?
3 months.
Wow. So it can't be that hard to colonize it then.
Well, 75,000 people already signed up to go to Mars.
75,000?
75,000 signed up to go to Mars, and there's no return trip right now.
So if your name's called, that's it?
I guess you're... Well, you signed up.
Yeah.
I mean, you signed up to go.
But what if, like, last minute
You say no?
Because they didn't give you a time, right?
I think it's in like 20 years. I think they did give you a time. I thought...
Really? I didn't sign up. Did you?
No, I'm not sorry. I got more to do on this Earth than I want to go colonize fucking Mars. I've seen too many movies, man. It's gonna be like Doom.
Yeah. Or The Martian.
Well, The Martian wasn't even that bad. That was like...
It's crazy.
I'm just not as smart as... I'm not a botanist like the dude in the fucking Martian.
I could do it.
You could?
Nope. Nope.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. This is a shame.
If I got left on Mars, I think I would just commit suicide. What's the point? What's the point of trying to live?
Dude, no one wants to just die.
If you have no contact with Earth,
but he actually had like hope because he knew they were coming back in 4 years.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, I guess.
So you had hope. It's not like you're just like, oh god, they're never coming back. Like they're coming back. Yeah. But would I go to?
No, it's too dangerous. I'm too cautious for Mars. Oh crap!
Fucking 2 in a row. 2 in a row. Oh, baby, I'm taking over the show right now.
Next week, hosted by Dillon. He's going to take my Jenga set and microphone. Yep. Well, thanks for coming on. I hope people enjoyed it. It was interesting.